Hello there. Welcome again to my living room, to my studio, where I do most of my living, creating. My name is Boaz, and I've spent the last 4 decades building what I call a creative life. A life that is dedicated to creativity, to culture, to art, to any form of expression that elevates us humans from the dusty, mundane existence that we have. Just a reminder, these are not tutorials, these are not how-to videos, this is not a master class, I am not a master of anything. This is just a conversation here in my living room, in my studio. And today I want to talk to you about the difference between being creative and being a creative. The difference between being an amateur and being a professional. Now, an amateur, from the verb amare, to love, is somebody who does something because he loves it. If I go in the weekend to do beautiful watercolor paintings in the nearby lake, I am an amateur. I do it because I love doing it. I don't do it because it's my job. I don't even do it because it is my calling or some kind of divine responsibility to create art for mankind. I do it because I enjoy it. I love it. Professional is somebody who gets paid in some form or another. Sometimes you don't get paid, but this is another story. A professional is somebody who gets a reward, the feedback in a form of payment. Now, you can love what you do and get paid for it. But this is not being professional. This is just being a very lucky amateur. Now, I would love to be that kind of very lucky amateur. Unfortunately, I am not. I know a couple of artists who really knocked it out of the park without even trying, just because they were very talented, they were in the right place with the right people. It is called luck. Being a professional has absolutely nothing to do with luck, because luck is kind of magic. Being a professional is the most down-to-earth thing there is. Because being a professional means that you have to work, you have to study, you have obligations for yourself, for the company that you build, for your clients. Being a professional is boring, it is hard work, it is frustrating, it is all the opposite of the things that you get when you're an amateur. But if you do it correctly, the rewards that you get will give you the ability to do more of the things that you love. And I'm not just talking about, I'm going to do this just for the money and then I will do my art project. This is usually how it works. Because for most people, and I am one of them, there is this separation of work and pleasure, work and spiritual, work and personal. So if I'm doing artwork, I cannot really do it inside the confines of work environment, of a work structure, of a professional life. But if you manage to keep your integrity, and if you manage to push forward, and if you manage to show people your real worth, your professional life is going to start looking a lot less like work and a lot more like, this is what I do, this is what I am. Usually people will tell you, I am not my job. I'm special, I'm unique, I am not my job. People that say that are usually people who have a job, who have a place that they would go to so they can get money to pay the rent. This place that they go to can be changed and there would not be any real significance in their life because it is just a job. I am not my job. Well, I am my job because my job is being a creative. My job is going to concerts. My job is having real long conversations with interesting people. My job is to paint. My job is to dance. My job is to make music. My job is to enjoy culture, not only produce it. My job as a human being, as a creative human being, as a creative professional, is to accumulate as much experience as I can, because that gives me more tools, that gives me more skills. As a professional creative, gathering experiences is part of the work process. It is part of your job. A lot of people want to be creative. I understand that. I mean, I really do. Being creative is fun. Being creative is healthy. Being creative is useful. Not a lot of people are willing to pay the price to be a professional creative, because that is a lot less fun, I can tell you. The creation part is fun. Sitting in the corner of the room, holding your knees, swaying back and forth at 3 o'clock in the morning because of the imposter syndrome, and you have an opening tomorrow and people will find out you're not a real artist, you're just faking it. That is a little less fun. It's not all fun and games, unless by games you mean that famous game of let's look under the sofa cushions, maybe we can find some loose change and actually have lunch today. I love this game. We used to play it a lot. Always fun for the whole family. Being professional means also that you have a certain responsibility. And this is another thing that people try to avoid. Being a professional means being an adult. Now, being an artist, being a musician, being a poet is the opposite of being an adult. As I always said, as an artist, I cannot afford being rational. So being a creative is on some level the opposite of being a professional. How do you put the two together? How do you create a life where you can actually pay the rent by being a creative? How do you make money out of your creativity? These are not rhetorical questions I'm asking you. Please let me know if you have a way, because I have tried and failed many, many times. Okay, I'm exaggerating. I also had enough success in monetizing my creativity to justify it all. But as a concept, it is very, very hard to make a living just by being a creative. And as the tools change and as the environment change, it is getting harder and harder. Everybody thinks they are creative. Everybody can do everything because it is all done by a click on your phone. Take a video, take a picture, filter, medit, crop, send. Oh, perfect. Look at what a masterpiece I have created in these 13 seconds. So it is getting harder to be a professional. And this is why if you are a professional, if you are trying to be a professional creative, you have to be super professional. You have to be more professional than what you could have been 20 years ago. Because the field is different. The playground is different. The rules are different. Now you have to be not only exceptional in the creative way, but also in the production way, in the time management way, in the client relations way, in the networking way. All of these are part of being a professional. Everybody wants to be a professional and live like an amateur. It doesn't work that way. Everybody wants to have the benefits of being a professional and have the freedom of being an amateur. It doesn't work that way. The good news is that if you really manage to be a professional creative, the rewards are incredible. Because not only can you pay the rent, you actually go to sleep every night with a kind of satisfaction that a lot of people do not have. You have done something that is more difficult than the normal. You have taken a path that is harder than what people usually have to go through. You have chosen to try and make yourself better and better so you will be more professional. When I was young, I saw the word professional as something negative. as something that is not what I want to be. These days, I understand that being a professional is a form of art. Being a real professional. If you look at Japanese making the samurai swords, if you look at old-time Italian artists doing glass in Murano, if you look at the skill and the professional attitude, the freedom to create inside the rules of the professional work, inside the rules that you have created as a professional. If you manage to do that, you really have something going. Now, if you are like me, the last couple of years have been not easy, especially as a professional, especially as someone who still has to pay the rent. And even in my so-called retirement, I still have to produce in order to survive, less than before, in a much more comfortable manner. But I still have to eat. I still have to pay the rent. To say that I am not rich will be like saying that Jeff Bezos is not poor. I am very far from rich. I am very far from being comfortable. I live a good life. I do. But I still need once in a while to put on the professional hat in order to make this life viable. And if you are like me, the last couple of years were not plentiful. They were not bountiful. There was nothing to do. There was no one to talk to. There were no clients. Being a professional took a backseat to just surviving, being here. So the only advice that I can give you as a creative, as a full-time creative, as someone who has a creative life, or someone who is a professional creative, the only advice that I can give you is just keep on keeping on. No matter what. Just keep on keeping on. Hope to see you here next time. Until then,